Welcome to the Irreplaceable Dental Assistant Podcast, brought to you by Dane, Dental Assisting Made Easy. This is a safe space to be mentored, empowered, energized, and equipped. Welcome to another episode of the Irreplaceable Dental Assistant. And do I have a treat for you today? I have a special guest. This is Dr. Mark Hyman. Mark, how are you today?
Dr. Heather Dawn, what a joy to see you again. I miss you terribly. I love seeing my Jamaican family when my wife Anita and I have come down for your wonderful JDA meeting. I think 3 or 4 times, and I can't wait till I get to see you all again.
Well, you know you're the official Jamaican.
Bring it on. I'll be your easiest berth.
We see it on the dance floor. You can hold the rhythm.
You're very kind.
But share with us a little bit about you, Dr. Hyman. Who are you? What are you doing these days? What do you bring to the world of dentistry?
Right, Heather Dawn. I thank you again so much for having me. I'm Mark Hyman from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I love dentistry. I love this profession. I started working in dentistry when I was 19 as a dental assistant. Next month, I turn 64 years old, which I know you're shocked by because I have pretty good hair. But dentistry has been amazing to me. I met unbelievable men and women. For my career, I had 32 years of private practice, and I adored my team, Heather Dawn. My main receptionist, was with me almost 25 years. My lead dental assistant, almost 20 years. 3 of my hygienists, 15 years. Another one, 14 years. So it was like a family, and these women gave me such love and loyalty. It was just stunning. Secondarily, I had the privilege of teaching at the state, national, international dental meetings. Internationally, mostly thanks to you, and I appreciate you for that. I had the privilege of speaking in Jamaica, the Bahamas, Canada, England, Israel. So that's been a real joy. And then sold my dental private practice in 2016, worked for 15 more months with a young man, former student of mine, that bought my practice. And now I'm an adjunct full professor and special assistant to the Office of the Dean at the UNC Adams School of Dentistry in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where I get to teach practice management, leadership, team building, communications, diagnosis, treatment planning, and I'm also on the admissions committee. So it's a wonderful, wonderful time. I miss private practice, but I love being at the dental school and teaching these magnificent students. Heather Dawn, I love the name of this podcast, The Irreplaceable Dental Assistant, because I would have been dead meat without my dental assistants. Again, they gave me such love and loyalty and passion and commitment, and they made such a profound difference in my patient's experience. So I am the head cheerleader for dental assistants and the impact that they have on a private practice.
Well, thank you for sharing that. But you know, the fact that your team was so loyal to you speaks volumes to the type of leader you were and you continue to be, though it be not in private practice anymore. But so I'm just so happy to be able to delve in and pick your brain for a little bit, ask you a couple of questions. I love to focus today on the new patient experience. What does the new patient, where does it begin? At what point does that new patient experience begin?
You know, Heather Dawn, without giving it a lot of thought, you'd say, well, it's when they walk in the door, but that's so far from the truth. The fact is, a new patient experience starts by your community reputation, how you present yourself publicly, the care that you give, your reputation clinically, behaviorally, the charity that you give to your community. The source of the new patient referral is huge. In the States, I say to my audience, there's a huge distinction between a patient coming to you because you have to see them, because they're part of some PPO, HMO, preferred provider organization, or an insurance panel, versus somebody saying that Dr. Erica Veach sent me to you and said you're the best. There's a dramatic difference between how they found out about you. Then the new patient experience, the patient makes the first phone call. How are they treated? Does somebody answer the office? Is the office phone answered? Dental office, hold, or good morning, thank you for calling the dental office of Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson Myers. This is Susie. How may I help you today? Are they answering the phone with a smile, with passion, with enthusiasm? What the patient research, what they did before they even saw you? Do you have an office website? And is it current and inviting and cutting edge? When the new patients come in for the first experience, we've sent them We've sent them to our website to learn more about us, to see some of our videos. We've also got to have a new patient worksheet where we ask key questions to try to get an idea, who is this patient? How preheated are they? What are their expectations of us? If the first thing they say is, you're my fourth second opinion, that makes you go, wow, this could be a challenge, versus the first question saying, do you take my insurance? And where many of us in dentistry say, oh my God, they don't value comprehensive care. They don't value optimal care dentistry because I asked that question. Heather Dawn, the fact is you don't really know. If somebody asks me, well, do you take my insurance? My answer to that would be, may I ask you a question? Is the insurance reimbursement critical to you choosing me as your healthcare practitioner? Is the limits of the dental insurance going to compromise the quality of care you will let me offer you? Is it going to change your goals for you keeping your teeth, for your health, teeth, and your smile? So I kind of want to put the questions back on them. When the new patients come in, it is imperative that this is an intentionally sculpted, scripted visit. If you have a new patient coming in at the same time you're trying to seat 10 veneers and it's not going well, you don't have your best game face on. So we would limit the number of new patient visits he would have to specific times of day when they knew that Dr. Mark was going to be on time and fired up. And we had a very practiced, prescribed system. If I could, Heather Dawn, when a new patient would arrive, if I could, I would walk out into the reception room and shake their hand. And if it was you, I'd come to you and said, you must be Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson-Myers. I understand that Dr. Erica Veach sent you to me. Welcome home. We're going to take good care of you. I look forward to working with you. Just why not knock their socks off? And every new patient, think about what the business team is going to say to them when they walk in. Do they stand? Do they greet them? Do they shake their hand? Do they offer them a cup of coffee? Versus saying, do you have insurance? Where's your card? Sit down and shut up and fill out this health history. How have you been greeted in a graceful fashion, Heather Dawn, versus been treated like a piece of meat, like a commodity? Then the new patient would come back into our consultation room with my treatment coordinator, Dr. Mark, and the patient, and we would sit down at a round table where we're not separated by a big square mahogany desk. And I'd basically be knee to knee, nose to nose with them. And I would go through a list of 10 questions that I tried to ask every new patient. And it would start with the idea, Heather Dawn, I used to say, do you have any trouble finding the office with Google Maps? That kind of seems like an old school question. So then I would say to you, Heather Dawn, who can we thank for referring you? Which also sets the table for, oh, you're taking new patients. And if you said Dr. Erica Veach, I would say, Dr. Erica has sent us the nicest people. I am so glad that you're here. We're going to have a great time. And then I would ask 5 magic words. And to you, Heather Dawn, I would say, ma'am, may I call you Dr. Lawson-Myers, Dr. Heather Dawn, Dr. HDLM? You tell me, what name do you prefer to go by? Please call me Mark, Dr. H, whatever is comfortable to you. And then I would say, Dr. Heather Dawn, how may I help you? How may I help you today? And then I stopped talking. And often the new patient would say, why are you here? How can I help you? I hate my smile. The temptation is to answer that with, well, I bet you hate your smile because you have a diastomata between teeth 8 and 9, and you have class 2D2 laterals, and your teeth are Vita shade A17, and your mama dressed you funny. Don't do that. Be open-ended and just say, you hate your smile? Tell me more. What do you hate about your smile? Is it color? Is it size? Is it shape? Tell me more. Well, I hate my teeth because I've got gaps in them and they're yellow. How does that make you feel? I don't smile for pictures. Well, ma'am, do you have pictures coming up? Is there a family event coming up? Would you like to be done by, in the States, July 4th holiday, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah? Tell me where you are in your life. What's the time frame? It's stunning to me, Heather Dawn. So many of our colleagues don't even ask this next question. May I ask why you left your last dentist? And it's stunning to me because many of our colleagues don't even ask. And the patient often says, because he or she was pushing crowns. And many of our colleagues hate that question. And Heather Dawn, I love it. Because then I'll just say, may I ask you a question? Do you think you need one? And often the patient's going to say, I don't know. And then I'll say, ma'am, if I see changes going on in your mouth, do I have your permission to tell you about it? Heather Dawn, when they say yes, it's supper time. It's a great time to be a dentist because they just said, if you can show me, I'm going to go forward with treatment. Then I'll ask you, if I may, ma'am, why now? Why today versus next week, next month, next year? Imagine someone comes in on a Wednesday. My daughter's getting married Saturday. They don't want to get a flossing lesson. They want their teeth whitened. They want you to zoom their teeth real quick before the wedding. They don't want a lecture. I'm sorry, you have to come back for 3 visits while we do initial periodontal therapy and scaling root planing and nutrition counseling and then we'll talk about whitening, then you're not listening to where they are in their life at that time. Further, I'd say, ma'am, if I may, what are your goals for your health, teeth, and smile? I say, I'm not being smart with you, but is it important that you keep your teeth the rest of your life? Okay. Then I may say, who's the decision maker in your family? For me, Heather Dawn, you know my wife, Anita, she's a nurse. She runs the family. I just want to make sure you're presenting treatment to the decision maker in the family. To present treatment, and then a patient say, well, I have to ask my wife's mother's cousins, milkman's, rabbi's, neighbors, priests. We have excusitis in dentistry. Why waste your time presenting treatment when someone says it's not my decision? Then I would say, do you have a budget? Some people say, I want a gorgeous white smile. I got $500. It's like, well, here's a Sonicare and a tube of day white, because that's about all you can pay. And I've had someone say to me, Dr. Mark, money's a big deal. I only have $20,000 or $30,000 to spend on this. And I'm like, we can do that. How soon would you like to be finished? So that new patient experience, I think, is critical. Patients walk in, the office is clean, everyone's in the same uniform, there's nice music playing, the magazines are straight, the office smells nice. It doesn't smell like a typical dental smell. That's just a really cool experience. And the team knows what's next, who takes what radiographs in what room. Then doctor comes in with their intraoral video camera. We had 8 operatories, Heather Dawn. We had 8 Digidoc intraoral cameras. It's a California company. Costs about $17 a day over 200 days for that technology that's guaranteed to add $100,000 per office, because patients can't buy what they don't see. So the office looks nice, the systems are clear, the team is well-trained, well-dressed, well-mannered, consistent verbal skills. You take good care of the patients on time, and you make it clear what their investment's going to be financially, and then that they have been given something that is distinctive. When I left private practice, Heather Dawn, I had over 1,200 5-star reviews. People ask me, how in the world did you do that? Well, Heather Dawn, I earned them and I asked for them. And my dental assistants were irreplaceable in gaining those 5-star reviews, because they were gentle and polite and well-trained and well-dressed and passionate and enthusiastic. And they believed in Dr. Mark. When a patient said, wow, that sounds like a lot of money, my teammates were trained not to say, dang, I wouldn't pay that. They were like, and you want to know why? Because you're at the best dental office in the United States. You're at the best office with the finest care, with the nicest dentist, who is not going to rest till you are thrilled with every ounce of everything that goes on in this office. So that's a lot of fun.
Well, there are a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. You had tons and tons of gems, but the first thing that comes to mind is your willingness to go and to greet the patient by, face to face. But in the event that you're not able to, I'm pretty sure if we have team members who see the value of really making the first experience a wow experience by knowing the patient's name as they come through the door. If you're expecting a man at 10 o'clock and there's a man at your door at 10 o'clock and the man on the schedule's name is James, chances are if he steps through the door and you say, good morning, Mr. James, he's going to be blown away.
I love it.
That really did not take a lot of effort. So I love the fact that you suggest that we customize the treatment for each patient.
Heather Dawn, that new patient slip that the receptionist has when she takes the first phone call, one of the questions was, which name do you prefer? So imagine somebody says, please call me Dr. Heather Dawn. And you come in and I go out and say, Dawn? And I'm like, well, it's a nice name, but that's not the name I go by. Oh, well, Miss Lawson, well, in fact, it's Dr. Lawson Myers.
Yes.
Now, my ego's not tied up in it. I know yours isn't. But if someone's taken the time to tell you, here's what I'd like you to call me, shouldn't we have the courtesy to follow through with that? And that takes planning and communication and time.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you also highlighted the importance of systems being in place and the team being very deliberate about following systems so that the day flows smoothly, because that in itself attests to the quality of work that the dentist will provide even before the dentist steps in to do any form of treatment. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. And when the dentist walks in and leaves, how many times has it happened to us that we discuss care with a patient and we say, if you want to keep this tooth the rest of your life, we would secure it with a crown. Does that make sense? You want gold or white, morning or afternoon? Okay, we'll go get it taken care of. You walk out and the patient turns to the assistant and says, what do you think? Do
Exactly.
you think I really need this? Wow, that's a lot of money. Now, what I've tried to train my students at UNC Adams School of Dentistry and my audiences in my seminars is, how do we answer that statement? That's a lot of money. I've tried to train my students to say, compared to what? Particularly when somebody walks in and they're holding a cup of Starbucks. How much is a cup of Starbucks in Jamaica?
Whatever it is, it's far more than the average cup of coffee.
Respect that. So would you guess, I don't mean to presume, you have Starbucks in Kingston?
We do.
And would you guess it's $5 a cup, $8 a cup, whatever?
Well, remember our dollar is 155 to 1, so we won't even go around down.
I can't even do the math. Here's the point.
We'll just agree that it's more expensive than the average.
So imagine if the crown is $1,000 in the States, and somebody says, how much is the crown? What I try to do is say, how many cups of Starbucks a day? So basically, I'd say, so for about 1 cup of coffee a day for a year, that's what your crown's going to cost. $1,000, Dr. Heather Dawn, that's a lot of money. 1 cup of coffee times 365.
Maybe doable, right?
My blessed father, Heather Dawn, said you can lift an elephant if you cut him into small pieces. So no matter what you say fee-wise, it's too much.
Yeah.
So why not break it into pieces? How many dollars a day, a week, a month? Would that work for your budget? Could you dedicate a cup of coffee a day for a year in order to keep this tooth? So does that make sense? Is that a possibility?
So what you're really doing is, if we can encourage our team members, first of all, to value what we're doing. And then second of all, to take that elephant and cut it into small pieces. Once you can wrap your brain around something doable, what is being asked of you becomes possible.
Love it. It's true. One of the first things with a new dental assistant, to me, with any practice doctors listening, is you do an extraordinary new patient exam on every teammate so they experience themselves. It's not one of those hygiene checks that takes 30 seconds and you kind of look at the front 8 teeth and go, that looks pretty good, see you in 6 months. That you sit down and do a comprehensive review of the medical dental history. You do an oral cancer exam. You check TMJ, submandibular, sublingual. You do the oral cancer scan on the tongue. You look at the throat. You look at the tonsil swollen. Is there a large uvula? You go tooth to tooth with your intraoral camera and do a full mouth perio probe. You take the necessary radiographs and review things carefully. That's the new patient experience. The team itself has to experience that to say, why is that so much money? Well, look what you just bought. In the States, we report 30, 40, 50,000 cases of mouth cancer every year. Be amazed how many patients say, no one's ever checked me for cancer. Maybe the doctor did, but just didn't tell them. So then you lost the chance, as our dear friend Dr. Kathy Jameson taught us, to create the sense of urgency. Dr. Kathy Jameson from Oklahoma said 8 words for me 22 years ago, changed my life. She said, Mark, how do you create the sense of urgency? So our blessed dental assistants, they are irreplaceable, and they're joining the team and creating the sense of urgency, the sense of elegance and professionalism and gentleness and passion and enthusiasm. It's just invaluable.
But you can only recognize what the value of the patient is receiving if you have been on the receiving end. That's such
Absolutely.
a powerful, it's simple, easy to do. It doesn't cost a lot, but wow, does it make an impression on the team members that you're relying on to share the value of what you're providing for each patient. That is fantastic.
Dr. Heather Dawn, for us as the leaders of the practice, if we don't honor the teammates' times, the patient's time, if we don't share the value of the new patient examination and experience, then the team's not going to value it either. It's not okay if you have a new patient coming at 8 o'clock, doctors, for you to show up at 10 after 8 to work. It's not okay to come in, eating breakfast, smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee, saying, let me make a few phone calls and I'll be right with you. That is unprofessional and unacceptable for a doctor or a teammate.
Well, we have to lead our team by example.
100%.
And what we're expecting them to show to our patients, we have to be willing to show to them and to our patients as well, leading by example, right?
Very much so. Dr. Heather Dawn, we talked about verbal skills, and that is so critical. I think if you or I were asked what is one of the number one main problems we have in dentistry, it's a lack of training, a lack of systems. We buy a new piece of equipment and tell the team, just go figure it out, instead of saying, we're closing the office for half a day and we're going to sit down and every one of us is going to try this. Every one of us is going to sit in a chair and look at their teeth with the intraoral camera. Every one of us is going to go through some of these different things. Otherwise, we're cheating them of the full experience. And I think the doctor has to invest in the team, as I know that you did in yours, as I did for mine, to make sure that they understood how important these things are.
But we do understand that teamwork makes the dream work.
I love it.
And when everybody is invested, it makes a big difference, as opposed to just being told to do a list of things and, you check the boxes. You become a part of the experience once you are in that setting where everybody is learning and growing together.
It's so true.
That point.
Dr. Heather Dawn, I tried to treat my teammates as priceless gems. I spoil them, and people have said to me, Dr. Mark, you just got lucky. You got all these great teammates. I was like, every single one of those women worked for another dentist, left them, came to me, and then stayed 25 years, 20 years, 15, 14. There's an intentionality to that. Richard Branson, who's got a brilliant business mind, Virgin Atlantic Airlines, Virgin Records, he said clearly the concept, the customer, client, patient comes first and is always right, is completely wrong. Your team comes first. Your employees, your teammates, your coworkers come first, because they're irreplaceable and they set the table, they deliver the mail, they are your reflection when you're not present. So whether it's out in public, whether it's in the office, on the telephone, whether it's online answering emails, text messages, on the office website, you just never get a second chance to make a first impression. And so doctors have to model that for the team. And when the team does it wrong, we gently correct. And when they do it right, we celebrate. In America, particularly, so much of leadership is critical. Heather Dawn, let me tell you 3 things you screwed up today. Instead of, Heather Dawn, you did 97 things so unbelievably today. May I give you a hug? And do I have your permission to talk about 3 little tweaks for tomorrow? So there's a difference, isn't there? There's the give and the take. And I always tried to, on my team, catch them doing things right instead of doing things wrong, because we repeat what is rewarded, honored, discussed. One of my best friends in dentistry, Dr. Keith Phillips, has an expression, your patient's always right? They just don't have to be your patient. Or they are in their life at this time. It's okay. It's okay to let them grow elsewhere. It's okay to set them free. Somebody wants to come in your office. If they're rude to my dental assistants, they're fired. Hands down. I'm not even talking to them. They want to chest up to me and cha-cha, bring it on. But if they're rude to my team, they're fired, because my teammates are irreplaceable.
Well, this has been such a wonderful discussion, and I feel like it could go on and on. But I just want to go back and address a few of the salient points that you made.
Please.
About the patient's first experience. The fact that it begins with an office's reputation, how they're guided to us, how that new patient discussion on the telephone is being so customized that we ask clients how they wish to be referred to, recognizing when they're coming through the door to greet them by name if possible, and to be warm and welcoming. If the doctor can come out to the waiting room and acknowledge and greet, great. But if not, that team should feel the same kind of vibe to make everybody feel welcome who chooses to allow us to serve them.
Absolutely.
It's always a choice. And recognizing the fact that the more we are consistent with our systems, the smoother the visit will be for the client, the better the experience, the more likely that they will have considered it a pleasant experience to return on another visit. We didn't go much into detail about it, but you did mention the appearance of the team looking tidy and uniformed, and, just ensuring that we do look professional and welcoming. And at the end of the visit, if there are concerns that our clients want to have addressed based on the fact that they may be traveling or there may be an upcoming experience, to be able to get that information early so that even if we go back to a treatment plan that addresses all the other things, that we're aware of their immediate concerns and we can address them early. And recognizing that the team need not be fearful of discussions that are around finances, but being really confident enough to break down what payments are and how comfortably people can view them. If we can relate those costs to everyday smaller costs that we choose to have. Because a cup of coffee from Starbucks, it's not a must, it's a desire. And I always say, if we can turn our patients' needs into desires, then they will find a way. And so the new patient experience, would you say that the new patient experience could be considered something that is ongoing? Because even though we develop relationships, we're always trying to find ways to wow them. So it's a new and different and wonderful experience each time they come through our doors.
Heather Dawn, I love that. When does a new patient experience end? Really never. Because people are coming back to your office at a different time in their life. Maybe they've lost a parent. Maybe they've had a child have a challenge at school. Maybe they've had trouble at work and circumstances have changed. Maybe their medical history has changed and they're embarrassed to discuss it with you. You just never know. The new patient experience extends to the first time you give them a shot, the first time they get their teeth cleaned, the first time they have an impression or a digital scan if you're a CAD/CAM office. So the process of wowing your patient really never ends. We talk about it in dentistry, and often we make a big deal about the new patients, and then our existing patients kind of are an afterthought, where the fact is, in the States, it's estimated that almost every practice has at least many hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million of diagnosed and undone dentistry in the books.
Yes.
So if someone has been in your practice for several years just getting their teeth cleaned, you might say to them, Dr. Heather Dawn, we've been to a lot of new education courses, the team and I, and it's been many years since you and I really sat down and thoroughly checked your bite and your gums and your jaw joint and your airway and did a careful review of your medical dental history. Would you like the privilege of another new patient experience?
Wow, I love that.
Because the people are at a different place in their life.
Absolutely.
Maybe they came to you and they had a couple kids about to go to college. Now 6 years have gone by and the kids are out. 6 years ago, they said, I can't possibly afford this. And now they may say, you know what? The kids are gone now. It's my time. It's my turn. So if you don't ask, you don't know. If you don't ask that permission statement, Heather Dawn, do I have your permission to discuss this? Do I have your permission to tell you what I see? Would you like to know what's new in modern dentistry? And to me, no is not no, it's not yet. If they resist, I may say, Heather Dawn, may I make a note of this and we pick this back up in 6 months? Well, that might be a better time for you and your family.
Absolutely, because
my daughter got married last September. My son is getting married this October. Mm-hmm. If someone came to me and said, well, don't you want to do $40,000 of dental work? I may be in a position to hang with that. Or I may say, I can't even see straight. I don't know how I'm going to take care of these weddings. I don't care about me. My children come first. The temptation may be to say, well, you don't value optimal care dentistry. You don't care about your teeth. When the fact is, I can't even think about them because I'm going to take care of my family first. So giving patients the courtesy and the respect that they may not be ready yet. And so you invite them with no guilt and no fuss that when you're ready, I'm here for you.
There you go. The new patient experience is always being recreated.
I love it.
Mark, I always end my podcast with a quote. And my quote today is from Benjamin Franklin. It's short and simple. It says, well done is better than well said. Well, I want to tell you that you gave us so many gems today. I think our listeners will have to play this podcast through a couple of times, because each time something different will be focused on and they will learn lots. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it, friend. You
It's my privilege.
A wealth of information.
And you are my hero, and I appreciate you, and I send love to my Jamaican family, and I miss you all, and I can't wait to come back home to Jamaica sometime soon. Peace and love. God bless.
All right, my Jamaican friend.
Thank you.
We certainly did get quite a bit of information today. Dr. Hyman just kept dropping gem after gem after gem. But we recognize that it's the reputation of the office that creates the first impression for a new patient. So it starts even before the first phone call. But on answering the first phone call, how you sound and how engaged you are, the level of enthusiasm is an added value to that new patient experience. And then when the patient comes through the door, having gathered information on that initial call, there's so much we could do to customize that initial visit, knowing how to address the person when they come through the door, recognizing that looking smart, having your systems in place so that the treatment visit flows smoothly makes a big difference. Not being intimidated about speaking about money, the cost of things that people may come in needing, can be a big plus to our new patient experience. And recognizing that the new patient experience occurs over and over and over because we have ways of wowing people each time they come. We have ways of meeting people's needs in each season of their lives. And it is indeed a privilege to be able to continue to create the new patient, the fresh new experience over and over again. As Benjamin Franklin said, well done is better than well said. So let's make an effort to make sure that whatever we do is well done. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. You know, we are better together. I'll see you next time. Blessings.